The Khmer emperors ruled virtually all of Southeast Asia. This is what the tourists see, the great Angkor Wat temple. What's not so well known is that Angkor City sprawled over 1,000 square kilometres, or 600 square miles. In its day, it was the largest city on Earth.
It's actually like a great low-density industrial city, sort of Los Angeles.
What sort of population are we talking about?
The general estimates are somewhere on the order of 1 million within this 1,000 square K.
Meet Professor Roland Fletcher, an Australian archaeologist who has spent years studying large cities of the ancient world. And how does that compare to, say, Paris or London at the same time?
Paris or London at that period were a couple of 100,000 or less. So they're very small places. Very small indeed.
So how far does it actually go? Beyond the tree line there?
Oh no, it extends to the hills on the northern horizon. Literally the horizon.
All the way around?
All the way around.
It's absolutely immense.
Over there, that's...
I'm just getting used to this ancient sprawl when Professor Fletcher produces a radar map taken from the space shuttle. Radar penetrates the jungle, revealing a vast network of ruined roads, suburbs and canals. The colours turning hidden ruins into a skeletal record of civilization.
That's the West Barai, which is 8 kilometres.
That's the big reservoir out here.
That's the one over there.
Right.
And the bit I'm really interested in is this huge road that runs up for 25 kilometres up to the KH&EN Hills, which is up to that high point on the hills.
And the point of all this? Well, something went wrong. Even though it was the capital of a mighty empire situated in a green and fertile land, it died. Professor Fletcher thinks he knows why.
Well, the reason I'm interested in it is because it's the largest pre-industrial, low-density city. And there are a lot of problems about why those low-density cities die. Because this is the biggest example, this is the key test. And at the moment, our suspicion is that it's an ecological problem. It's to do with excessive land clearance. Under all these trees, and in fact off beyond the horizon, there are Angkorian period fields under the forests.
So this whole area would have actually been just paddy field plains?
Right, with trees where the houses are, along the streets, like you see in modern villages. Part of this history here may be being rerun, and that's what we want to assess.
They felled the trees, overfished the lake, and eventually ran out of food, population, and purpose. Professor Fletcher believes this architectural time capsule sends out a warning to the world. It was the Los Angeles, the Mexico City, or the London of its day, and it died. Yet ecologically, the same mistakes he believes brought about its demise are being repeated again, right now. The question is, if it happened once, could it happen again? But far more recently, Cambodia experienced an even greater cataclysm. We're about to enter the last bastion of the Khmer Rouge and the final resting place of one of the world's bloodiest killers. In 1928, a boy was born to a peasant family in Cambodia. For 6 years, he lived and studied peacefully in a Buddhist monastery, 2 of them as a monk. Later, he went to study in Paris. His name was Solat Sa, but he was better known to the world as Pol Pot, and he became a killer. How such a peaceful country could end up with such a brutal killer as its leader has always been a source of amazement to me. We're in the far north of Cambodia, heading for the tiny township of An Long Veng on our way to the Mekong River. Few people on Earth have unleashed such chaos as Pol Pot. In 1975, he sent the Khmer Rouge into Phnom Penh to empty it. It was part of an experiment to set up an ideal peasant state. They marched the population into the fields to work and cut Cambodia off from the world. They began again with year zero. Temples, money and property were abolished, and the purge that followed gave us the phrase, the killing fields. It's estimated 1.5 million people died in Pol Pot's extermination camps. As we get closer, I feel a sense of apprehension. Already there are signs of war.
A lot of people died on this road. Basically, everyone who lives here is an ex-Khmer Rouge soldier or a member of their families. And this area was the last stronghold of the Khmer Rouge movement. This is where Pol Pot had his headquarters, and this was the last Khmer Rouge bastion to fall in all of Cambodia.
Yeah. Are we going to get through okay, or is it difficulties with the government troops?
I think that's okay. We just talk with the soldier here. Bóng khiêm mau ngày muôn mặt đón đó bóng. Khiêm mau ngày muôn mặt đón đó. Cầm tham mà trong thọt mà.
At a checkpoint, we offer a small gift. It's not a bribe, it's a courtesy. And it can mean a lot to a man who only earns $20 a month. Well, this is the first checkpoint into what was and probably still is the heartland of the Khmer Rouge. And up here on this mountain is where Pol Pot died. Now, whether he was murdered or whether he died of old age is still open to conjecture. But his body and all the remains of it are still up here. And very few people still have been allowed in here. And even though it's now part of government territory, it's still very much Khmer Rouge. The echoes of war are everywhere. Derelict and rusting tanks are reminders of the Khmer Rouge's last stand. And then another checkpoint. It's the entrance to Pol Pot's headquarters. More soldiers to negotiate with. And again, there are signs of fighting. These statues are revolutionaries, and they've all had their heads blown off. Hello? Hi. We approach the soldiers cautiously. Even though they wear the insignia of the modern Cambodian army, these men were Khmer Rouge guards in Pol Pot's day.
Yeah, he says he's a ex-Khmer soldier.
Did he like Pol Pot? Did he think he was a hero?
Pol Pot hot. He said anybody he's like.
Everybody liked him?
Yeah.
Why did so many people like him?
He said it's forcing.
They forced?
Yeah.
They forced him to like him?
Yeah.
So most people didn't want to like him?
Yeah.
It's all a little unclear what he believed or believes. The days of the Khmer Rouge are not long gone. Just in case there's trouble ahead, Sun Hien arranges for one of the soldiers to come with us to ease our passage. The road gets worse. So after the deaths of 1.5 million people, how could someone still like Pol Pot? You think a lot of people actually liked Pol Pot because he was such a fierce
That's what I heard
dictator?
from. Yeah, that's what I heard from other people individually. You know, they still respect Pol Pot.
Despite him killing all those people, and they're even some of their own relatives, they still respect him. That's incredible. There's a sense of dread as we arrive at Previ Hia, Pol Pot's last headquarters. This was where he died.